Okay, welcome to Book Talk Tuesday. I am Danielle with Quiet Storm Services. Quiet Storm is a hybrid publisher that focused on empowered writing impacting community. And our mission is really to bridge creative potential, and the vision is personal and collective growth. And we couldn't have a more apt person here with us today. Welcome, Holly. Welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Yay. Holly Terrill is the author of Be More Pollyanna. Yay, double it. And I am very biased and partial because Quiet Storm is a publisher for Be More Pollyanna. So I have had the great joy and pleasure of working with Holly, even I would say more than over the last year, but at least over the last year, as the book has really come to life and gotten into more hands. So thank you so much for being here, Holly. And I will read a little bit about Holly for everybody to know a little bit more about them. So, Holly Terrill is the executive director of Bike Walk Wichita, a nonprofit organization dedicated to creating a more livable, connected, and accessible community through safe walking and biking. A passionate advocate for equity, mobility, and community well-being. I can attest to that. Holly brings both professional leadership and personal purpose to everything they do. Currently pursuing a Master of Public Administration at Wichita State University, Holly's work bridges advocacy, education, and systems change, ensuring that everyone, regardless of background, has access to safe and reliable transportation. Holly is also the author of Be More Pollyanna, a heartfelt and thought-provoking book centered on the practice of intentional gladness. Through personal reflection and insight, they explore what it means to find joy, not by ignoring life's challenges, but by choosing hope, perspective, and possibility in the midst of them. Holly lives in Wichita, Kansas with their spouse, their son, and their 3 dogs, where much of their inspiration for their advocacy and writing comes from. Whether leading community initiatives, advocating, or writing about joy, Holly is driven by a simple yet powerful mission to improve the lives of the people around them and help others rediscover what it means to live fully and freely. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Holly. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, and you gave us a good teaser on Be More Pollyanna here, but talk to us about it. What's it all about?
So it's really interesting. A few years ago, I came across the phrase "be more Pollyanna," but it was in a negative context. It was more of a, oh, well, you're just ignoring the problems that are around you, or you're ignoring something that you should be paying attention to, or you're just looking at only the positive. And I was like, it's really interesting. And so I started looking into it more, looking if I could find video clips on TV shows or movies or in books about people referring to Pollyanna in a negative light. And I realized that there were like no positive references to Pollyanna. It had been completely shifted from the original intent of the book and then film to be just I'm totally ignorant of the things that are happening around me, except for those that are really good. And I wanted to reclaim that. I wanted to go back to where the foundation of Pollyanna was, which is we can recognize that even when things are going badly, or if we're struggling through something, or we're grieving, we can find a lesson to learn, something to be grateful for, and a reason to be glad. And that's really what I wanted this book to do, is to help other people identify ways in which they could find joy and gladness.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you touched on that too, because I know that there are those perceptions out there, and Be More Pollyanna, to me, you've done such a beautiful job of weaving in not only joyful experiences, but like some hard truths. And like you spoke to some of the lessons that are available to us, even when things aren't bright and cheery, but that it's all a part of us and it's kind of like all encompassing. So talk a little bit about your journey leading up to the book process, because the first time you and I met, I remember it very clearly. We were at a coffee shop east of downtown, and we were sitting and you had been working on writing and was kind of at an interesting point in your life. So if you feel comfortable talking a little bit about that, I think that would be fun for people to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the beginning of 2023, I found myself suddenly looking for new employment. I was laid off from my job and was a little directionless, and realized that I had to do something worthwhile and fulfilling in order to kind of get me over that hump and uh, reclaim the joy that I have in life. And so I remembered that you had written this beautiful book, Being Wichita Women, and that you had compiled lots of stories from different authors. And I wanted to talk with you about that process, because I thought, well, if I could compile stories of my own and get them out into the world, then I want to do that. And so it's kind of this, like, I didn't even have the full book idea yet. I just knew that there were things that I had experienced in my life that people could learn from, like I had learned from. And you met me at Coffee Days and talked to me a little bit about your journey. And it really helped me identify that there were lots of options. I could decide to publish by myself if I wanted to. I could work with somebody else who could then share the journey with me, like Quiet Storm Services did, or I could try and submit it to a bigger publishing house and see, what happened. And after looking through all of the options, doing some research, and then really fine-tuning what I wanted the book to be, I realized that the hybrid publishing option was really the best, because it gave me an opportunity to have a say, but it also allowed me to work with someone who had experience and would know some of the rights and wrongs to do in publishing.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you made that decision, because it has been a learning experience on this side as well. And something that I really appreciate about you, Holly, not just as an author, but as a person, is the kind of that, and you said it, what the book is about is intentional gladness. You show up in life very intentionally, and that is not easy to do all the time, considering everything that goes on around us. And I feel so grateful, because, and you can even just see from the cover, like, so, and this is a watercolor, and remind me the artist, because we got to give them some kudos.
Yeah, Cynthia Martinez-Wolk.
Cynthia Martinez-Wolk did this beautiful cover, and you can see like the intention behind the colors, and it when Holly submitted their manuscript to Quiet Storm, I had, like you mentioned, the Being Wichita Women book was focused on trauma and adversity, resilience, and healing, and there was some balance there, but it was almost divine timing, because I was at a place in the business where I also wanted to experiment and shift more towards, like, what would it look like to kind of dive into the positive aspects of life, the beauty, the joy, the like abundance. And so it was just a perfect pairing, because not only was that where Quiet Storm was headed, but it just, in my personal life, like, it was such a gift to sit down with this book and do the exercises. And I know I told you I was going to get this. It's Totoka Ati. Did I get it?
Totoka Ati. It's your turn.
Yay, it's your turn. So there's these like awesome little exercises, and tell people, can you talk a little bit about why you included that as a part of this?
Yeah, so it was really funny. When I was doing the original layout of the book, I had like 40 or 50 stories, and I had an exercise for each story, and then I had like a smattering of poems, and I thought, well, I could put the poems at the beginning or the end or somewhere in the middle, and I was like, no, I'll put them with the chapters so that they're thematic. And then as I was going through the manuscript, I'm like, oh wow, I just basically made a textbook. Every one of these stories now has homework. Like, who's gonna want to do this? I don't even want to do this. Yeah. So like, I really pared down. So we had one activity or assignment or reflection for each chapter, so that it was thematic instead of assignments that people had to do after they read a story. And so that way it was an opportunity to be intentional with somebody's personal lived experience. No one's experience is going to be the same as mine, but hopefully me being vulnerable allows somebody else to be vulnerable with themselves and do a little bit of reflection and help identify areas where they do have joy and they find value and those opportunities to learn.
Yeah, beautiful. And so the book was published in August of 2025, so it hasn't even been out for a full year yet.
Mhm.
Have you, what is your been, okay, two questions here. My brain's going in 18 directions. I get really excited talking about you in this book. So, what has your experience been like since it's been out in the world? Because oftentimes when I'm talking with not even just authors, but writers and people who are writing, not necessarily like academically, but who are writing something that is personal and important to them, there can be that threshold or that hump of the time from the time they're actually like writing it and then to the time it goes into other people's hands, and
Mhm.
it's can be an interesting time. So what has it been like for you since this has been out in the world, and or what feedback have you gotten? Like what is your experience? Just I guess I'm just going to estimate it's been about 9 months. My
Yeah.
math skills are off, but um, what's it been like? What's it
Uh,
been like?
So it's kind of funny. There's like twofold to it. Like it's totally surreal. Like I go to Watermark Books, like I did this last week on Independent Bookstore Day, or I go to Barnes and Noble at Newmarket Square, or now even Lucinda's, who carries my book, and
Yeah.
to see it sitting on the shelf, and like I see my name and I see my vision, and it's like I can't believe that's a real thing. It's something I've been dreaming about since I was like 10 years old, and so it feels amazing. Uh, it's also a little terrifying.
Mhm.
So sharing personal stories and being vulnerable. And even though some of my stories are pretty generalized, like I don't go into too many details, like, I still know there's enough there that I've opened up in a way that maybe some people aren't comfortable with. And so being nervous about the feedback I'm going to get. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting because whenever somebody talks to me about the book, that they find a piece of it that really connected with them, that resonated, and that they found joy reading. And that has been really fulfilling.
Yeah, when you're speaking, I remembered that we were sitting down one time. I don't remember which session it was, but you had envisioned, like you talked about your dream about it, seeing it on bookshelves, seeing your book written on bookshelves, and it's so amazing to be able to witness that dream come true for you. Um, and it's such an honor to walk alongside you on that. And then it brings me joy just to hear that others are having this positive experience with the book, even if there is a little bit of fright and fear, all of that that's mixed in with it, that comes along with the vulnerability piece. So thank you for your bravery and using your voice and your skills and your talent and your passion, um, to pour yourself into this book and then to be willing to share it with others.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hopeful that I can someday turn it into uh, like little classroom teachings. That's not like the right way to say it, but like each of the chapters, since it's based on various themes, could be then lessons that we can work through in a different group setting, or in a one-on-one or small group kind of conference, like being able to identify areas within ourselves that we want to focus on and then really dive deep into the work. And I feel like this has an opportunity to start that.
I agree, and I like that the intention that was put into it, and I believe that it would resonate with a wide audience too. And then also maybe some specialized audience. Like I loved like some of the discussions on neurodivergence and some of the other things that could be used with particular audiences. But really, it's written in a way, like you said, even the negative or the hard parts of life aren't so detailed that it would be off-putting. There are life lessons in that, and we had talked about this before we started recording, but now that we are looking to shift to Ingram Spark and having it available to a wider
Mhm.
audience, I am really hopeful that there will be, people who are planning conferences who could see that, a way for this to be incorporated, or, librarians or bookstores who kind of want to be able to have that like workshop piece where people are getting together and kind of digging into it and building community. I totally see that happening. So
I'm glad you said the word workshop. That's the word I could not think of. Oh my God.
okay. I was almost like, wait, is that like they didn't use that word, but that's what came to mind. So that's what I'm going with.
Yes, there was a local group that actually featured my book in their book club. And so that was really neat. They invited me to come and talk about it and share some of my experiences. And they asked me some questions. And that was really neat. And it created just a really safe space for people to be vulnerable together. And I really loved it.
I love that. That's what it's all about. And I will definitely be posting like links and all of those things in the comments section here on YouTube. If you are watching the replay of this and you have questions for Holly, pop it into the comment section and I will make sure it gets to them. Because yeah, there's lots of great content here to discuss. And as we are wrapping up, I will just ask you, Holly, do you have any, let's say, do you have any tips or advice for anyone who has struggled to incorporate joy into their life, like on a regular basis? Like any little nuggets of wisdom that you might be willing to share?
Sure. I'll start with the writing perspective. So when you're writing, for me, what I did was I wrote the first draft for myself. A friend of mine, former boss, told me you write the first draft for you and then you write the second draft for your audience. And that's really been helpful for me, if especially I'm experiencing something that's painful or traumatic or just very difficult. If I'm writing just like all of my feelings first, then I can walk away from it, come back, review it, and they go, okay, I've put that out into the world. Now let me write about the experience a little bit more focused on what I learned, how I grew, what can I see now that I benefit from in that experience. And it allows me to shift into a more positive, glad, joyful state of mind. If I'm experiencing something and I'm just going through it in the moment, generally I look at everything with a typically positive lens. But when I don't react or I respond to something in a way in which I would have rather done it differently, I try not to stew on it. Sometimes I can get in my head about it, just like anybody. But I try to step back and go, okay, I see what I did wrong, or I see what I could have done better. Now I know better. I can do better. And then I have to let that go. And then I just have to move forward with purpose and intention.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Because that's so honest and truthful too, because, we all are human and we all have places that we can identify like, man, is that what I said? Or that's what I did? Like, but having the willingness to face that head on, and also to then allow it to let go and not like cling to it is really important. So that's really great wisdom that you shared. So thank you for that. Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our Book Talk Tuesday for today. Again, thank you, Holly, for being here and sharing your work with the world. Any last bits that you want to say? Your website, sharing your website?
Yeah. So bemorepollyanna.com. And I share news updates. I record all the books that I read or listen to throughout the year for like the last 3-4 years, in case somebody is like, I don't know what to read, or I'm kind of stuck and you want an idea. I share what I've read, and sometimes it's really silly, frivolous stuff, and sometimes it's pretty deep. And I just want to learn from others too. So if people have things they want to share, I would love to learn. But I have this little post just sitting on my desk, and it says, you're doing your best, and whatever your best looks like today is good enough. And I think that that's something that a lot of us forget, is we think we have to be perfect, but really 100% doesn't look the same every day, and that's okay.
True. Yep. I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody out there on YouTube. See you later.
Bye.